Hello all, it's Taisha Collins giving you your book report. I read the book Understanding BDSM Relationships by Peter Masters. It was done in 2012. The intended audience, I would think, would be those adults that the intended audience would be those that are interested in BDSM relationships. A little bit about the book. BDSM stands for bondage and discipline, dominance and submission, sadism and masochism. BDSM can and sometimes is explored and exercised anywhere at any time, given that being a private situation and or a public situation. BDSM is not just one thing, but also many different things for many different people. In the book, Master says, thank God I can edit. In the book, Masters mentions that there are 3 pillars to BDSM. The first pillar being disparity of power, meaning you can control someone or you are the one that are being controlled. In other words, you're the dominant or you're the submissive person. The second pillar is penetration. Now, this doesn't mean necessarily being sexually penetrated, but being in your feelings, in other words, or have that personal involvement with another person. The third pillar of BDSM is engagement. Now, this means being intimate and having that personal involvement. BDSM isn't necessarily sex. It also is not BDSM is not necessarily sex, as well as sex isn't necessarily BDSM. One key thing that Master said in his book was that knowing your BDSM partner is very important, because by knowing them you have that trust, you have that experience with that person, they know what you want, and they also know how to get what you need. Another aspect of the BDSM lifestyle is that some people might live their BDSM lifestyle 24 hours a day. And I don't mean they're getting beaten all day long or anything like that, but some people have experienced that dominance in being a submissive. They have that power and authority over them, like their dominant can give them an order, say what they want to happen during the day, and that submissive follows that order. For critical analysis, BDSM relationships I would say, are somewhat similar to regular relationships, or what in the book Masters called vanilla relationships, in the fact that 2 people have to be compatible in the relationship, they have to have trust, and they have to know what each other needs. Masters also cites several different research articles for this book, but he also cites himself in some of the other books that he's done for this research. For biases, I would have to say that there are several biases. The number one being that he never mentions a woman as being dominant. She is always the submissive. When he speaks of being a dominant in the BDSM community, he speaks of men and men only. He might have mentioned the word dominatrix twice in the book, but there were no information following behind that. Also, in the book, he speaks in first person, which he doesn't, in the beginning of the book, he doesn't mention that, oh, I'm speaking from personal experience. But another bias is that he's speaking in the first person as though he knows everything. He is a dominant, but he doesn't mention this in the beginning of the book or throughout the book at all. He just kind of throws himself in there and he's like, yeah, this is what we do and this is what we like. Some other critiques I would have to say was that he does like to use the word fuck. It's like his favorite word in the book. Another word instead of sex, he'll say nookie, which I thought was hilarious. He'll also mention things that have nothing to do with sex, BDSM, like how his aunt collects salt and pepper shakers. Yay for your aunt. Overall, I found it very interesting. I wanted to know more about the BDSM community, and it definitely gave me I would definitely recommend this book for those who want information about the BDSM community. I think it's a great first book to read. It gives you a lot of good information and not something that you just see in the media it's just ropes and chains. It's so much more than that. A weakness of the book, I would definitely have to say, is that he doesn't mention women being in that dominant role, only men. Another weakness is that all the relationships that he talks about in the book are only heterosexual relationships. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. I've loved this class. And peep my memes.